If you think Hollywood hides its darkest secrets behind the bright lights, hit subscribe, because this story proves how far that darkness can go. Los Angeles, January 15, 1947. The sun hadn't yet burned through the fog hanging over South Norton Avenue when a woman pushing a baby stroller froze in her tracks. At first, she thought she was seeing a mannequin, something discarded from one of the film studio lots nearby. But when she stepped closer, her breath caught. It wasn't plastic. It was real. The woman's scream echoed down the empty street, and within minutes, the LAPD had descended on the scene. There, in an abandoned lot near Leimert Park, lay the body of a young woman, pale, perfectly positioned, and mutilated in a way that made even the most hardened detectives look away. Her face bore an eerie calm, almost like she was still auditioning for the Hollywood dream she never got to live. The press would later call her the Black Dahlia. Her real name was Elizabeth Short, 22 years old, a struggling actress from Medford, Massachusetts, chasing fame under the California sun. Detective Harry Hansen, one of the first on the scene, stood silently beside his partner, Finn Brown, staring at the body. The crime scene was unlike anything they had seen. There was no blood on the ground, meaning she had been killed elsewhere and placed there with precision. Her body looked almost displayed. Whoever did this wanted it to be seen. By the time the coroner arrived, the press had already broken through the police line. Photographers snapped pictures, reporters shouted questions. The city's obsession with beauty and scandal collided in one horrifying moment. Hollywood's dream girl had become its nightmare. Hours later, the detectives gathered in the precinct, the city's haze visible through the smudged windows. The captain's voice cut through the tension. "Gentlemen, this is not just another case. Whoever did this, they're making a statement." They began retracing Elizabeth's last days. Witnesses recalled seeing her at the Biltmore Hotel downtown, the last confirmed sighting before she vanished. Dressed in black, always smiling, she'd been talking to a man no one could later identify. She told a friend she was meeting someone about a movie opportunity. That was on January 9th. 6 days later, she was dead. The LAPD threw everything they had at the case. Every lead, every rumor, every shadow of a suspect. Soldiers, doctors, drifters, even a few studio executives quietly questioned behind closed doors. In post-war Los Angeles, everyone had secrets, and nobody wanted to be the next name in the paper. As days turned into weeks, the case only grew stranger. Letters began arriving at the Los Angeles Examiner. Carefully cut from magazine clippings, the words formed chilling messages. "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." Inside one of the envelopes was Elizabeth's birth certificate, photographs, and business cards, all cleaned with gasoline to remove fingerprints. The sender wanted to taunt them. Whoever this was, they were watching. The press fed on every new detail. They branded her the Black Dahlia, inspired by the film The Blue Dahlia, and the name stuck like a curse. Suddenly, Elizabeth Short wasn't a person anymore. She was a symbol of Hollywood's broken promises. Detective Hansen studied the photos on his desk late into the night. Elizabeth's portraits, the same soft smile she showed the world, now stared back at him under the harsh fluorescent light. He couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't random. Someone had known her. Someone who'd wanted control. By the end of January, more than 150 suspects had been questioned. Every lead ended the same way, nowhere. The city buzzed with whispers of corruption, cover-ups, and dark connections. Rumors spread that the killer might be tied to the film industry, or worse, someone in law enforcement itself. Then came the first break. A witness came forward claiming they'd seen a black sedan parked near Norton Avenue in the early hours of January 15th. Inside, they thought they saw a man in a dark coat, his face half-lit by a cigarette. The tip was vague, but it was something. The detectives canvassed every auto shop, every garage, searching for that car. But Los Angeles was a city of shadows, and the deeper they went, the murkier it became. One night, Detective Hansen drove out to Leimert Park again. The city was quiet now, just the hum of distant traffic and the rustle of dry grass. He stood where her body had been found and looked out at the rows of houses, all dark, all silent. He wondered if the killer still lived among them. Then his radio crackled to life. "Hanson, get back to the station. We just got something in the mail." When he arrived, the captain handed him a small, neatly wrapped package. No return address. Inside, wrapped in newspaper, was a woman's purse and a single high-heeled shoe, both confirmed to be Elizabeth's. The same gasoline smell clung to them. Whoever was doing this wasn't finished. They were playing a game. As Hanson stared at the evidence, a chill crept up his spine. "He's watching us," he said quietly. "He's enjoying every second." The captain nodded grimly. "Then let's make him choke on it." But neither of them knew what was coming next. Because when the next letter arrived, it didn't just mock them. It revealed something they'd never expected. The next morning, Los Angeles woke to chaos. The Los Angeles Examiner splashed the Black Dahlia case across its front page, again. "Killer taunts police. New package received." The press wasn't just covering the story anymore. They were part of it. Reporters shadowed detectives, twisted details, and printed rumors faster than the LAPD could deny them. Elizabeth Short's death had become a grotesque public obsession. The city couldn't look away. At the precinct, Detective Harry Hanson dropped the newspaper onto his desk, disgusted. The photo of Elizabeth, taken while she was alive, smiling for a studio headshot, was printed beside the grisly headlines. "She wanted fame," one columnist wrote, "and she got it, in death." Hanson muttered, "They turned her into a sideshow." His partner, Finn Brown, stared at the evidence board, photos, maps, lists of names, and every dead-end lead they'd followed for 3 weeks. "Maybe that's what the killer wanted," he said. "Attention. Fame." The coroner's report had confirmed what everyone feared. The killer wasn't just violent, he was methodical. The cuts were surgical, clean, precise. Whoever had done this knew anatomy, which meant they were dealing with someone educated, maybe a doctor, maybe military. By the end of January, nearly 60 people had confessed to the murder, men, women, drifters, and even a few who were locked up at the time. Each confession fell apart under scrutiny, leaving the detectives drowning in false leads. It was chaos by design. Someone wanted the truth buried under noise. But then came a lead that couldn't be ignored. A man named Mark Hanson, no relation to Detective Hanson, ran the Florentine Gardens nightclub where Elizabeth sometimes stayed. He was an older man, well-connected, and known for helping struggling actresses find work. But there were whispers that he'd become possessive with her, that she turned him down, and that he hadn't taken it well. When questioned, Mark Hanson admitted he knew Elizabeth, even let her stay at his house a few nights. But he claimed she left on January 8th after an argument. She said she was going to meet someone downtown, he told police. A man. But she didn't say who. That someone became the detective's obsession. Who was the man Elizabeth was supposed to meet the night she vanished? Meanwhile, another package arrived at the Examiner. Inside, a small address book embossed with the name Mark Hanson. The pages were missing, ripped out. The LAPD brought him back in, but after days of questioning, they had nothing solid to hold him. Then, a young man came forward, a bellhop named Robert Manley. He claimed to have driven Elizabeth from San Diego to Los Angeles on January 9th, dropping her off at the Biltmore Hotel. He was the last confirmed person to see her alive. Manley cooperated fully. He even took a lie detector test and passed. He seemed genuinely shaken. She was nervous, he told detectives. Kept saying she had to meet someone. Someone important. Hanson studied him closely. Did she say who? Manley hesitated, searching his memory. No. But she said she finally got her big break. That line haunted the detectives. The Biltmore staff confirmed she'd spent several hours in the hotel lobby that evening, seen talking to various men. Around 10 p.m., she walked out the front door and disappeared into the night. No one saw her again. The case began to rot under pressure. Every day the press ran new angles: Hollywood doctor suspect, starlet secret lover, gangster connection. Each headline drew more hysteria, but less truth. Detective Hansen, exhausted and sleepless, kept combing through the evidence: the letters, the photographs, the autopsy notes. He couldn't shake one thought: this wasn't random. Then, in early February, something surfaced that changed the tone of the entire investigation. A reporter at the Examiner received a phone call. The voice on the line was calm, almost amused. "You seem to be doing a fine job on the Dahlia case," the man said. "Who is this?" the reporter asked. "Let's just say, you're going to hear from me again." When the reporter pressed for more, the caller laughed softly. "I'll give myself up, if you let me go in 48 hours. Then the line went dead. The call was traced, but not in time. The number was from a downtown payphone. 2 days later, a man walked into the Los Angeles Examiner office claiming to be the killer. His name was Joseph Dumais, a soldier from Fort Dix. He confessed in detail, describing parts of the crime that matched known facts. The detectives flew him in from New Jersey immediately. But when they interviewed him, it fell apart. His story contradicted itself, and his commanding officer swore Dumais had been on base the entire week of the murder. Another hoax. Another dead end. The pressure was destroying everyone. By spring, the leads had dried up. The city had moved on to new scandals. But Detective Hansen refused to close the file. Something in his gut told him they were missing the one person who'd been there all along, someone close to Elizabeth, who'd hidden in plain sight. That's when a new name began circulating among the detectives: a Los Angeles physician named Dr. George Hodel. A brilliant but arrogant man known for his eccentric parties, his wealth, and his connection to the city's elite. Hodel had once been investigated for performing illegal abortions, and there were whispers about darker habits, rumors that made even the police nervous. When the LAPD's internal files revealed that Hodel had known several women from the same Hollywood social circles as Elizabeth Short, Hansen's instincts kicked in. In 1949, 2 years after the murder, Hodel's name officially entered the Dahlia file. And soon his own son, a boy named Steve Hodel, would grow up to become a detective himself, determined to prove something his father never admitted. But back then, in 1947, Hansen didn't yet know that this one man's shadow would haunt the case for decades. Because that spring, as he sat alone in his office, staring at the evidence board for the 1,000th time, a janitor knocked on the door holding a new piece of paper. "Found this in the alley behind the station," he said. It was another note, short, typed, unsigned. "I'll never be caught." The Dahlia was only the beginning. Hansen read it twice, his heart pounding. He looked up at his partner. "If this guy's telling the truth." Finn Brown swallowed hard. Then he's still out there. And that's when the next file landed on Hansen's desk. Another woman, murdered in Los Angeles, her body mutilated in a chillingly similar way. The city whispered, the Black Dahlia killer had struck again. Los Angeles, 1949. 2 years since the murder of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia. The city had buried the story under new headlines, new scandals, and new stars. But in the basement of the LAPD headquarters, her case file never gathered dust. Detective Harry Hansen still kept it pinned on the wall. The photos, the notes, the crime scene sketches. Every few weeks, he'd pull it down again, convinced there was something he'd missed. Something hiding in plain sight. Then, in October of that year, the phone rang. A new suspect. The name came quietly at first, whispered through back channels, mentioned in police circles, and finally, on Hansen's desk in a manila envelope marked confidential. Dr. George Hodel. A wealthy physician living in a Spanish-style mansion in Hollywood. Former public health director, art collector, intellectual, and a man with a very dark reputation. He had once been accused of abusing his own daughter, and during that investigation, the police began to suspect something more. Something far worse. The LAPD launched a secret operation, Operation Dahlia. Detectives bugged Hodel's home without his knowledge. Microphones hidden behind walls, under floors, and in the light fixtures of his study. For 6 weeks, they listened. What they heard was unsettling, not a confession, but fragments. Phrases. Chilling, cryptic sentences spoken in the dead of night. One night, Hodel's voice echoed through the static. "Supposin' I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore. She's dead." Detective Hansen sat frozen as the tape played back. It wasn't direct proof, but it was the closest thing they'd ever had. When officers went to question him, Hodel was gone, vanished overnight. He left the country for Asia, taking his secrets with him. The investigation hit a wall. Without solid evidence, the case collapsed again. The files were sealed, stored deep within the archives of the LAPD. Elizabeth Short became more myth than memory, the dark face of Hollywood's broken dream. But the story didn't end there. Decades passed. Los Angeles changed. And one man, Steve Hodel, George's own son, would reopen the wound. By the 1990s, Steve had become a detective himself with the LAPD. After his father's death in 1999, he inherited a box of his personal belongings, letters, photos, and journals. Among them was a photograph of a young woman with black hair, fair skin, and hauntingly familiar eyes. Steve froze. She looked almost identical to Elizabeth Short. At first, he dismissed it as coincidence. But as he dug deeper, his father's life began to unravel in horrifying patterns. The surgical knowledge, the Hollywood connections, the fascination with surrealism and pain, even his home's architecture matching key aspects of the murder staging. He compared maps, letters, and autopsy details. The pieces began to align too perfectly to ignore. Steve Hodel became convinced his father, Dr. George Hodel, was the man who killed Elizabeth Short. He presented his evidence to the LAPD in the early 2000s, reopening one of the most infamous unsolved cases in American history. But the department never officially charged anyone. Without physical evidence, all they could do was label Hodel as a prime suspect. In the years that followed, investigators and journalists uncovered even more disturbing links. Photographs found in Hodel's possession, other murders with the same surgical precision, and letters sent to newspapers in handwriting eerily similar to those from the original Black Dahlia killer. Still, nothing conclusive. No confession. No closure. The case remains unsolved. Today, the Black Dahlia murder stands as one of the darkest, most enduring mysteries in American criminal history. A symbol of how fame, obsession, and violence can intertwine in the city of dreams. But for the detectives who lived through it, and for Steve Hodel, who spent his life chasing the ghost of his own father, the question still lingers like a shadow on Hollywood Boulevard. Was Elizabeth Short just one of many who crossed paths with a man too powerful to be caught? Or did Los Angeles itself, a city built on illusion, swallow the truth whole? Detective Hansen once said, in his final years, the Black Dahlia case wasn't about a killer. It was about a mirror. Every time you looked into it, you saw the darkness in yourself. And maybe that's why the case never dies. Because somewhere, in the reflection of that mystery, every generation sees its own obsession with fame, tragedy, and the cost of chasing beauty. The truth was buried with her. But the shadow of the Dahlia still walks among us. If you think this story was dark, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe, and remember, sometimes, the most beautiful dreams are born from the darkest lies.